your health at the top of your to-do list. This is one of my favorite things to do. There is such a gap in women's health and women's health education. And so we are going to start from the beginning and make sure that you walk away from tonight's class with more clarity, maybe some reminders. Maybe it's a reminder or a refresher for some of you. And for some of you, it might be the first time that you're hearing this information. So we're all coming to this place I call midlife from different experiences, different ages and stages. And so this is the masterclass where we can kind of get everyone to the start line at the same time. And then as we go through the rest of the year, Menopause Chicks, we have a number of other educational opportunities planned for you. I'll mention a couple of those in a minute. Okay. I'm going to get started, and no, I don't need your video on, Wendy. I just saw that presentation. Should you take notes or do you share the presentation at the end? By all means, take notes if it helps you, but you will be getting a copy of everything tomorrow via email in your inbox. So hopefully that answers your question, Abby. And let's get started. I'm just going to share my screen here. Let a couple more people in and let's go. So welcome everyone to the Menopause Chicks Masterclass. My name is Shirley Weir. I'm the founder of Menopause Chicks, and it's my pleasure to be able to invite you to the Menopause Chicks community and to this class tonight, which I have nicknamed You Deserve to Feel Amazing. Because it's true. You may just, if I can get, did you notice that little logo change in the bottom? Okay, so this is the first time, but I am sharing this information. Vichy, which is a division of L'Oreal, is doing some amazing work in the perimenopause and postmenopause space. And they are now sponsoring the Menopause Chicks monthly masterclass. So there's lots of great things, more information coming your way from Vichy in the next few weeks. They're launching a couple of new products later this month. I'm going to be doing some television appearances for them, with them, and then I have a new book that's coming out this summer that's going to be available in store as a gift with purchase. So I'm really excited about how they are listening to women and women's experiences and responding. And I'm really happy to be providing educational content with the folks at Vichy. So I just want to say thank you, and more information to come in that regard. As I mentioned, I think you all know me already, but I am Shirley Weir, and I am a menopause chick. I'm 55 years old. I started Menopause Chicks nearly 10 years ago, born out of my own experiences. In my early 40s, I was experiencing things that I really knew nothing about. Primarily, they were things like sleep deprivation, mood changes, chronic brain fog, and anxiety and depression for the first time. And I did what every other smart, savvy woman does when she doesn't know what's going on with her health. I turned to Dr. Google, but I was really disappointed in the information 10 years ago that was available online. It was confusing. It was conflicting. It was even polarizing. It didn't really speak to me and who I was, a busy mom, entrepreneur, early 40s, that kind of thing. So I also talked to my doctor, and that experience was disappointing as well. She told me I was too young, which is true. I was too young for menopause because I didn't actually reach menopause until 49, but I was at the early stages of perimenopause, and I was also burnt out, really. High stress levels, lots of things going on in my life, not taking care of myself. And I left that doctor's appointment having been offered the birth control pill, sleeping pills, and Prozac, which is an antidepressant. And those really weren't aligned with my health goals at the time. And I was kind of left a little dumbfounded, but I knew very quickly that I probably wasn't alone. And so I decided to start Menopause Chicks off the end of my desk, and the universe has been very kind ever since. There's a lot of conversation that is happening in the menopause space now that wasn't happening 10 years ago. But you will find, and even in the Menopause Chicks community, you will find that a lot of the talk around perimenopause, menopause, even women's health in general, goes straight for the symptoms and the suffering component. And I'm not here to say that women don't suffer, because we know that we do. But I am here to say that we don't need to start there. We have to begin with the end in mind, and that is that we deserve to feel amazing. You deserve to feel amazing. Perimenopause and menopause are not synonyms for suffering, and they're not synonyms for symptoms. They are phases of life, just like puberty. And we're going to get into that in a minute. But I'm just so glad, and I really would love it if you took a moment to just pat yourself on the back and thank yourself for showing up today, or for showing up to watch this replay, because ultimately you really deserve to feel your best at this time in your life. Now, it can look like a bit of a roller coaster, but the mission of Menopause Chicks is that, we want to empower you to navigate perimenopause to menopause and beyond with confidence and ease. Now, if you got my very last email at about 10 minutes before start time, you will have been reminded to grab a Post-it note. So hopefully you've had a chance to do that. Any size, any color, grab a pen, grab a Post-it note. I want you to write on this Post-it note these words: I deserve to feel amazing. Okay, got it? Now I want you to take those Post-it notes and place them where you are going to see, place it where you are going to see it every day. So maybe that's on the mirror in your bathroom. Maybe that's on your computer. Maybe it's by the light switch. Maybe it's on the front door, front of the fridge, whatever. Maybe it's on your steering wheel, like this woman. But I need you to see this reminder every single day, because that's the goal that we are headed towards. And it's so important to have that reminder on a regular basis, because midlife women are holding up the world, as you know, and our arms are getting a little bit tired. So whether, whatever age or stage you might be at this point where you're taking the Menopause Chicks Masterclass, I know that you also have demands from work, demands from family, responsibilities, perhaps taking care of young children or aging parents. You probably volunteer for something somewhere. And amongst all of that, you're trying to prioritize your own health. So I just want to honor that and understand that, the more that we can take care of women in midlife, the greater chance we have of a thriving society, because we are the ones who are contributing to all those facets: family, work, volunteering, taking care of aging parents, and looking after our community. But sometimes, this journey to the place called amazing runs straight through a little place called not yet amazing. And I want to honor that as well. That little place called not yet amazing might look like waking up at 3 a.m. It might look like hot flashes. It might be heavy bleeding where you don't know what's happening or what all of your choices are. And that's okay, because my goal is to be your tour guide on this journey. As I mentioned, I do spend most of my time inside a private online community on Facebook. I think we're at 41,000 members as of today. And the mission of that community is to empower you to navigate perimenopause to menopause and beyond. And I do mean postmenopause when I say and beyond, with confidence and ease. I also have a vision for the work that I am doing. And my vision, the reason I post pictures of my children whenever I talk about vision, is I really do believe that it is our generation's responsibility to crack open the conversation around perimenopause and menopause, to reframe the conversations around perimenopause and menopause. And it will be the next generation who really grows up and embraces this concept of being hormone literate, understanding the role of hormone health at every age and stage of our life. So, how can you navigate perimenopause to menopause with confidence and ease? Well, the answer that I like to use the most involves these three things. One, it takes quality information and education. We have to be able to sort through the clutter and some of the confusion and conflicting messages, find the quality information. Hopefully, that means being supported by an experienced health team along the way. And then, of course, a community who has your back, like we have here tonight and in the Menopause Chicks community. Now, we are having some impact. I do get a lot of messages just like this one from Joanna, who, showed up at Menopause Chicks thinking that she was going crazy and was able to sort through the information and realize that once she had all of her answers, that the journey became a lot easier and a lot more comfortable. Just going to let a couple more people in through the waiting room. Welcome, everybody. So that's a few slides about why I'm here, a little bit about my story, the mission, the vision of Menopause Chicks. I would really like to know why you were here. Why did you choose today as the day to show up for the Menopause Chicks Masterclass? And what are you hoping to leave tonight's presentation and conversation with answers to? So if you want to pop that into the chat now, I'm going to keep going to keep us on time, but we will have a Q&A at the end. If you can't stay for whatever reason, a copy of the recording of this presentation will be sent to you tomorrow, but I do hope that you stick around, ask your questions, and we will do our best to be your best tour guide or your best concierge. So this is my agenda for tonight. We're going to go through definitions, clarity, and an explanation of common experiences associated with various hormone fluctuations and different ages and stages. We're going to spend a considerable amount of time on what I call the hormone health pyramid. It's a pyramid because it's layers of health information that we need to know. And sometimes they interact, and sometimes it's impossible to jump to the bottom and say, oh, I'm just looking for the magic wand. I want this to all go away. We really need to be able to decipher between what it is that our body is looking for at this time. So we're going to go through that, and I'm happy to spend some time helping you build your own midlife health team. Now, included in your bonuses for tonight's event is an e-copy of Mokita, How to Navigate Perimenopause to Menopause with Confidence and Ease. So the second part of Mokita is all about this third point on our agenda. It's about building your own health team. Mokita has engaged 13 women's health professionals. They all share their modality that they work in. as well as a case study. And I know that we love to learn from each other's stories. So you might read the case study from the naturopath, the physician, the chiropractor, the pharmacist, the pelvic floor physiotherapist, and go, oh yeah, that relates to me. That is someone that I would like to invite to my health team. Shirley, can you tell me how I might go about doing that in my area? I mean, that is a very common scenario. You might also read the chapter and go, no, that doesn't apply to me. I don't think that I'm interested in acupuncture. I don't believe that, I want to work with a registered dietitian right now, but it might be something that you would be aware of and park for down the road. I like to think of our health team as a wheel where we are in the center of the wheel and there's all of these spokes. So hopefully we all have a family doctor, but I know that that is a privilege in many parts of Canada and North America. And then it's also a privilege if we are able to invite other experienced and educated health professionals to our health team. It's not a must-have. It's really what lands for you and what resonates for you, and what is going to be best for your particular situation. So let's talk about some definitions. So this is the timeline, and I'm going to begin with perimenopause. Now, the term perimenopause was only coined in 1996. So it's really new. Before 1996, menopause was used as an umbrella term when talking about all three phases of life. And it is still very much today used as that umbrella term. But in Menopause Chicks, we like to decipher. So because perimenopause is so very different, as you are about to learn, from postmenopause. Perimenopause is not defined by suffering. It is defined by age and hormone fluctuations. It's different for everyone. There is no way to tell when you have begun or entered perimenopause. It is not defined by suffering or symptoms. It simply means that your hormones have started to fluctuate in preparation for menopause. Now, this very same thing happens at the other end of the hormone teeter-totter called puberty. So the day you get your period is not the beginning of puberty. Probably at least a couple of years before that day that you got your period, your hormones were starting to fluctuate in preparation for puberty. Exactly the same thing is happening in perimenopause. One of the defining experiences of perimenopause, generally speaking, is that progesterone drops. And we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. So progesterone is really, I would say, the star, if you will, of perimenopause. Now, menopause, as I was mentioning, was often used as an umbrella term, but it's really one day. So we don't go through menopause, we reach it. It's like a birthday or an anniversary. It's the 12-month anniversary of your last period, your very last period. So if you go 6 months without a period and then you have one again, that's perimenopause. If you go 10 months without a period and then you have one again, that's perimenopause. If you go 12 months without a period, generally speaking, you have reached menopause. The average age in North America of menopause is 51.2. And postmenopause is every day after menopause for the rest of your life. Postmenopause, very different from perimenopause. The defining feature, if you will, of postmenopause is a decline in estrogen. It goes for a steep decline, and that can mean that your experiences after you've reached menopause, maybe you're so looking forward to menopause and then you're surprised at, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen. We're going to talk about those experiences tonight as well. Before we get into the hormones and common experiences, I want to talk about how we talk about menopause. Conversations don't work if they continue to perpetuate myths and misinformation. And I come up against this a lot. And I'm sure that you maybe do in your conversations if you're talking with, girlfriends or family members or, partners or the girls at work. We have inherited some myths and misinformation, and we have forgotten that perhaps what we need to do at this point in our life is unlearn some of those myths and relearn what menopause, perimenopause, and postmenopause mean today, because it's different now. So I'm going to talk about some of the things I don't say first, and then some of the things that I do say. I don't use perimenopause, menopause, perimenopausal, or menopausal as adjectives. I don't say menopausal weight gain. I don't call an individual, oh, she's menopausal or she's menopausal. It doesn't land with me, and it's not really the proper use of the words. These are nouns and they're life phases. We don't have the equivalent adjectives for puberty, so it just doesn't make sense. And I also find that when these words pop up, it's generally related to marketing, headlines or products that have these words across the label. And I think, I did have a 30-year career in marketing, and it just smells of somebody that doesn't really understand the maybe hormone fluctuations or the experiences that I'm going through. You will notice in the Menopause Chicks community, there are no jokes, there are no pictures of women holding fans, and there will never be advice such as dress in layers. This is one of the most frustrating things that I see media fact checkers who use Google, is that we are polarizing women in midlife who are dealing with real health challenges or concerns or health goals. And we're polarizing them by only depicting them as gray-haired women holding fans, or doctors are writing articles in reputable newspapers, and their suggestion for women is to get a fan for their desk or to dress in layers. I am here to tell you that I don't know a woman alive on this planet who couldn't figure that out for herself. We don't need health professionals telling us to dress in layers because we're smart and savvy. I also don't say things like wait and see, cross your fingers and hope for the best, or that it's just part of being a woman. None of this is helpful. What we really need to do is empower women with information, give them the menu of choices that they have to navigate this phase of life, and not diminish the fact that what they are experiencing is real. It is not it's not just part of being a woman to suffer. You're not meant to suffer. You deserve to feel amazing. I don't say symptoms of menopause, and any time that anybody uses that, whether it's a company or media or marketing, I know that they, again, don't really know what they're talking about, because menopause is one day. It's not an ailment. It's not a condition, and it's not a disease. Therefore, it doesn't have symptoms. Now, you might say, yeah, but I'm experiencing this. Yes. And the reason that you're experiencing hot flashes, sleep deprivation, could be hormone imbalance. So it could be symptoms of hormone imbalance, or it could be symptoms of a nutritional deficiency, or it could be symptoms of something else that's going on. And when we say symptoms of menopause, my fear is that there are still too many people on the planet who believe that menopause is something that they should just try to get through and suck it up. And if we don't identify that those are symptoms of essential nutritional deficiency or symptoms of hormone imbalance, we're talking about the wrong thing, but also we're pushing women's health to the back burner instead of onto the front burner where it needs to be. I already said this. I don't say going through, because it's not going through menopause. You reach menopause and then you're in postmenopause for the rest of your life. And I also don't say natural. I think natural has been bastardized by consumer products and marketing. And women will, members of the Menopause Chicks community will often come up to me and say things like, it happened today. I'm trying to do this naturally. And now I've finally given in that I'm going to pursue hormone therapy. I think that was her comment. And it doesn't really do us a great service to think, okay, first of all, it's okay to ask for help. Secondly, hormones are natural. If your car needed gas or oil, you would fill it up. And if your body needs hormones, it's okay to pursue those things that are going to either help your body make hormones on your own or to inquire about hormone therapy. So that's my reason for not using the word natural. Now, these are things that I do say, and I try to say them a lot. You are not alone. You are not meant to suffer. You deserve quality of life. I want you to think of rethink of any adverse experience as a tap on the shoulder. So if you're experiencing hot flashes, let's say, and you think, oh, I've just got to get through these, or I can't wait for these to be over, or I can't wait to get to the other side, you're not listening to your body. If you reframe hot flashes as a tap on the shoulder from your body, it's your body saying, hey, Shirley, I need something here. It's an opportunity to not only restore your quality of life now, which you deserve, but it's an incredible opportunity to, and maybe it's to work with your health team, to figure out how you want to invest in your heart health, your brain health, your bone health, your vaginal health for the next 30 to 50 years. So I hope that you can make that paradigm shift with me. I also say it's a lot easier to prevent than it is to treat. But if whatever you might be experiencing, don't give up. There is always a viable solution. Sometimes it takes some work to get to that solution. But there's no shame and there's no beating yourself up if you are at a point where you do need treatment. We are the first generation of women to turn 50 and have 50 more years to plan for. And this is really important. 100 years ago, at the turn of the last century, if you will, women died not that long after menopause. Early 50s, late 50s was an older woman. Now our life expectancy is 85 to 100. And that's great news. But the not so great news is the fact that if you look at any seniors community today, you will see still predominantly women because we outlive men, but you will also see high rates of heart disease, stroke victims, osteoporosis, dementia, and women who are living with vaginal atrophy and incontinence. So it's really a wake-up call, if you will, to be here tonight and to think, oh, wow, what a pleasure it is for me to turn 50 and to have this incredible window of opportunity in front of me to think about how I want my health to look for the next 30 to 50 years. And that's why I love the word invest. We are taught to invest for our kids' post-secondary education. We're taught to invest for our retirement. Now it's time that we teach women and one another that it's really time to invest in our future health. And there's something else that I often say, and that is there is sex after menopause, sometimes even with a partner. That choice is up to you. Okay, we're going to run through some common hormones. There's a full list of definitions in Mokita, so pop open, make sure you download your e-copy, and you can read more extensively, but I really want to spend tonight focusing on estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, and cortisol, as well as we'll touch upon thyroid a little bit. So estrogen is our juicy hormone. It's a strong hormone. It's a feisty hormone. Estrogen has so many jobs in our body. one of the things that it's responsible for is to keep everything juicy. So it keeps our eyes moist and our mouth moist. It keeps our joints lubricated. It keeps our vaginas moist. Estrogen is the hormone that is produced when our cycles are regular. Estrogen is the hormone that's produced in the first 2 weeks of your cycle. Estrogen used to be the hormone that was primarily only talked about when it came to menopause. Menopause used to be regarded as an estrogen deficiency disease. Now, I don't use the word disease, and hopefully we are far beyond that, but we're also far beyond the thinking that menopause is all about estrogen. Yes, estrogen does decline after menopause, but first comes perimenopause. And you will remember I called it the star of perimenopause, progesterone. So progesterone is equally important as estrogen. Progesterone is produced in the second 2 weeks of our cycle when our cycles are regular. So estrogen in the first 2 weeks, progesterone in the second 2 weeks, they are like perfect dance partners. And that's why I have this image of some dancers on the screen. When estrogen and progesterone are in perfect balance, everything, you're feeling great. You're feeling amazing. What happens in perimenopause is often estrogen will get higher, progesterone will get lower. The further apart those two hormones become, the more likely you are to see some of the common experiences associated with low progesterone. That might show up as tender breasts first. That was like really my very first experience. It might show up as irregular bleeding, lighter bleeding, or really common heavy bleeding. Progesterone also has so many roles in the body. It protects the lining of our uterus. It is really supportive of our mood and our sleep. And it's a great investment in our brain health as well as preventing osteoporosis. So for bone health, key. Testosterone is, well, first of all, it is a female hormone. It's often regarded as a male hormone, and it's often regarded as the sex hormone, the hormone that is responsible for our sex drive, which is true. But testosterone in women is responsible also for our confidence. So I don't know if you have maybe an older woman in your life, a mother or a grandmother, maybe you kind of have noticed over the years that she is less confident at work, or changing jobs or changing partners or making a move or doing her banking, or taking up a new sport or learning some new technology. All of those things are related to our confidence. And as testosterone drops as we get older, so can our confidence. So, in addition to our sexual health, which is super important, these are some things about testosterone that's equally important for us to know. Now, cortisol. So cortisol is our stress hormone. And remember how I told you the story about showing up in my doctor's office in my early 40s saying, I think I'm experiencing the first signs of menopause. And she said, "You're too young." I was 41 at the time. I was burning the candle at both ends. I was running a business. I had 2 small children. My aging mother was living with us at the time, and she was showing signs of dementia. And I don't know. And then there was life, right? My cortisol was completely off the rails. I had hit the wall and driven right through it. Now, the reason that cortisol, with 2 kind of key reasons why cortisol is on the agenda tonight, is because, first of all, unbalanced cortisol dramatically affects our female sex hormones. So it plays a role in attacking our sleep, attacking our stress, attacking our sex drive. And the other reason that it's really important for us to learn about cortisol is that when cortisol is unbalanced, and you'll see this, it's on page 38 in Mokita, but when cortisol is unbalanced, you might be feeling insomnia, irritability, anxious, depressed, fatigue, exhausted. Those things, and we'll talk about it when we get to the pyramid part of our conversation tonight, those things can be interchanged with fluctuating progesterone. They can be interchanged with some nutritional deficiencies like low magnesium or iron. Iron is a really important one. So low iron can also show up as depression, irritability, headaches, fatigue and exhaustion, really common. So it's important that we know where we're at in terms of cortisol, how to address our stress. And I have a really great interview coming up on Friday morning at 10 o'clock. If you want to join me with Dr. Bal Pawa, and she's going to be talking about the impact of stress on our sleep. So I'll remind you about that again at the end of tonight, but cortisol, can't emphasize enough how important it is for us to be managing our stress. Thyroid is like our internal furnace. It's responsible for our metabolism, our weight management. Sometimes an imbalance in thyroid hormone will show up as being cold all the time. Do you know anyone who always has cold hands and feet? Invite them to get their thyroid checked. And the interrelation that we're going to talk about in the pyramid again relates to possible nutritional deficiency, because some things that might be low or fluctuating thyroid could also be iron deficiency. And the relationship there is that adequate iron is necessary to produce thyroid hormone. And I really want to emphasize this, because so often women will come to the Menopause Chicks community and they will say things like, I went to talk to my doctor about menopause and I feel that I was dismissed or I didn't get that. And I said, well, what are your current experiences? And they'll say things like inability to lose weight. I'm so tired and exhausted all the time, headaches. And I'll be like, have you had your thyroid tested? Go and request a full thyroid panel. And that is essential. I mean, we're going to our doctors and we're talking about one thing, but not looking at the whole possible picture. Okay. So roller coaster. It is very much like a roller coaster sometimes in perimenopause, because hormones are fluctuating constantly. They're fluctuating year to year, month to month, week to week, and even morning to night. That is the definition of perimenopause. Generally speaking, in perimenopause, as I mentioned, estrogen will be higher, progesterone will be lower. A lot of the experiences that are common in perimenopause are the result of low progesterone, and that can be addressed in perimenopause. So there is a light at the end of this roller coaster, if you will. What happens when progesterone and estrogen get too far apart from one another on the dance floor? Well, as I mentioned, irregular bleeding, light bleeding, heavy bleeding, very common. 70% of gynecological visits in North America are the result of heavy bleeding. Not everyone understands, women and health professionals, that is the result of a significant drop or significant fluctuations in progesterone. Sexual desire might drop, breast tenderness, as I mentioned, changes to mood and sleep, foggy thinking, that was me, and PMS, usually for the first time in your life. can show up in perimenopause. Also, new feelings of anxiety and depression. This is a classic example of perimenopause where progesterone is lower than the desired or optimal levels. Menopause. Why a cupcake? Well, as I mentioned, menopause is just one day. So I like to encourage members to make that one day a day that you either invent a cupcake or a cocktail, whatever it is that you want to do to celebrate. Because there's a lot of other things that come along with menopause besides these physical changes. We might have renewed confidence. We might have be happy to be saying goodbye to our period. We might be really happy to be saying goodbye to birth control. We might also be empty nesters for the first time in our lives. We might be renewing our sexual health and really embracing that with no kids in the house. Whatever it is for you, it is a time to, look at your career, evaluate your life situation. There's just so many of our members are using this opportunity, this point in the midlife timeline to celebrate, to put themselves at the top of the to-do list. A couple of notes that I do want to include, though, about menopause, and one is birth control. So I think that it is a common misconception that when you reach menopause, you can say goodbye to birth control. The International Menopause Society doesn't agree with that. In fact, physicians are scared to death of their 50-year-old patients getting pregnant. It's just not something they want to deal with. And their recommendation or guideline is that if you reach menopause and you are under 50, so I was 49 when I reached menopause, if you're under 50, the International Menopause Society recommends that you continue with birth control for 2 years. If you reach menopause and you're over 50, they recommend that you continue birth control for 1 year. And I think that was it. And then, of course, it is this incredible opportunity for us to create an investment strategy for how we want the next 3 to 5 decades to look. And that brings us to the day after you've invented a cocktail or a cupcake. And that's postmenopause. And the reason that the image here is of someone doing a bit of a cliff dive is that that really is synonymous with what happens to estrogen in postmenopause. So if perimenopause equals hormones fluctuating, post-menopause, you may arrive there with low progesterone from perimenopause and then estrogen going for a steep decline. Now, what does that mean, or what might that look like? Well, remember how I talked about estrogen being our juicy hormone? Well, that can lead to dryness of all kinds: dry skin, dry hair, drier joints, or people sometimes call it creaky joints that they never had before, and vaginal and vulva dryness. It can also lead to hot flashes, difficulty remembering things, frequent urinary tract infections or UTIs, and incontinence. So there's a few things in this category that are interrelated. When we lose estrogen in postmenopause, it affects our vaginal health. And when we are missing that estrogen, it is not just about having a healthy vagina so that you can have comfortable sex, although that's part of it, but it can really lead to frequent UTIs, which I believe the latest number I read is responsible for 8 million doctor's visits a year. And what does your doctor have in his or her toolkit? Well, it's often antibiotics. So there are a lot of reoccurring UTIs and a lot of prescriptions written for antibiotics. And if we can back that up to what the root cause is, and that being that deep decline in estrogen, we have this opportunity to course correct that at this point. The other thing that happens when we're making this investment strategy is that we have the chance to significantly decrease future rates of heart disease and stroke, dementia, osteoporosis, vaginal atrophy, and incontinence. Now, estrogen, I talked a lot about it being our juicy hormone. It's also really supportive of our heart health and our brain health. There's a report in the Journal of Alzheimer's that speaks to 3 things women can do to prevent Alzheimer's. And one of them is estrogen. The other 2 are quality sleep and to take omega-3s. So those are 3 things that you can do to prevent Alzheimer's. Osteoporosis, we're not doing bone density testing on women here in Canada, here in British Columbia, until women reach their 60th birthday. By then, if you haven't been investing in your bone health by, the nutrition in your life, the lifestyle, the strength training, as well as the progesterone, you have missed maybe, 10 or more years of preventing osteoporosis. And right now, the prediction is that 1 in 3 of us will break a bone due to osteoporosis. And vaginal atrophy, we know the root cause of vaginal dryness and vaginal atrophy. Atrophy means when a muscle shrinks, which happens over time. And we know the root cause, it's the decline in estrogen and decline in hyaluronic acid, which I'll talk about in a minute. And as our pelvic floor and our vaginal health declines, if we let it, then that is going to lead to incontinence. And I can tell you that there is a disposable incontinent pad market right now that's projected to be $16 billion by next year. The stakeholders in those companies are counting on women to be incontinent for 30 or 40 years because we're living longer, right? But if we are not addressing or preventing getting ahead of this curve, we could be looking at $1,300 a year as an example for incontinence pads. So if you embrace the strategy of it's easier to prevent than to treat, then this is something that you will obviously want to take this information and use it in your best prevention strategy right now. I've already honed in on this, but I just can't say it enough. It's that we are the first generation to turn 50 and have 50 more years to plan for. Now, if you're joining this call tonight and you're 60 or 62 or 65, this is not about shaming. I believe that the first time we hear about something is the first time we hear about something, and it is never too early and it's never too late to put your health at the top of the to-do list. Okay, we are at the hormone balance pyramid. I like to put it in the shape of a pyramid because these are layers. They're layers of choices, and they're layers that rely upon each other for our overall health, if you were to draw a circle around this pyramid. So at the top is eat, move, sleep. Now, I say that really fast, but I can't emphasize enough the importance of the quality of food, the amount of movement, and the quality of sleep that we get. This is when hormones are produced naturally. And so, if you were to ask Dr. Jerry Lynn Pryor, who is like one of the perimenopause gurus, she's an endocrinologist who heads up the Center for Menstrual Cycle Research at UBC, University of British Columbia. She will say that the best progesterone is the progesterone you make yourself. And so right now, if you are putting putting a real focus and emphasis on the quality of how you eat, move, and sleep, then that gives your body a chance to make those hormones on your own. And very close after the eat, move, sleep category, in fact, they could probably both compete for first place, is how we manage stress. So stress management has to be part of your health plan, has to be on the agenda. Next is nutritional support. And there are a number of nutritional deficiencies that can mimic hormone imbalance. So what I mean by that is I'll speak about iron first. If you still have a period, you are likely less than optimal iron levels, ferritin levels. That doesn't mean the normal range that they give you when your lab report comes back, that is something very wide. It means that if you bleed every month, your ferritin levels are likely not at the optimal 80 to 100. And you could be experiencing things like hair loss, fatigue, exhaustion, depression, cold all the time, not have a diagnosis of being anemic, but still be curious about, is this perimenopause? Is this menopause? So iron is one of the things that we really want all women, or ferritin is something we want all women to have checked. Magnesium, really, really hard to get adequate amounts of magnesium from diet alone. There are lots of foods that are rich in magnesium, but our soil is generally depleted from quality magnesium. So it's important to supplement with magnesium bisglycinate. And magnesium can mimic progesterone in that it's really supportive of our mood and our sleep. It's also great for our joints and our muscles. If you're having muscle aches, it's sometimes effective if you're suffering from restless legs. So magnesium at night, take it at night to support your sleep health. Omega-3s, I just mentioned a few minutes ago about in relation to prevention of Alzheimer's. Omega-3s are also really supportive of our heart health. Heart disease, if I didn't say it before, is the #1 premature killer of women. And then, of course, vitamin D. And hopefully you and your health team, most general physicians, family doctors are on board with the fact that most of North Americans don't get enough vitamin D. And so it's important that we supplement. It's important for our bone health. It's important for our mental health. It's important for so many functions. Next on the pyramid is thyroid. And I touched upon this before, but it has to be part of your consideration when you're thinking about how you're going to optimize your hormone health, because thyroid is a hormone, and a lot of women are susceptible to low thyroid or hypothyroid. And then there's hormone therapy, which is a big category, and we can talk about it. I suspect there will be some questions about hormone therapy when we get to the Q&A session. But just so that you know, I have been on hormone therapy since I was 48. So I started at age 48. I reached menopause at 49. I work with my naturopath. I take bioidentical hormones that are compounded at Pure Pharmacy, but you don't have to have hormones that are compounded at all. I would prefer that you're taking bioidentical hormones though. And there's a lot of myths and misconceptions wrapped up in hormone therapy. It's done a real injustice to women's health and kept them away from feeling amazing because there is a fear factor. But if you go back to some of our earlier slides in this presentation and think about how our bodies have been making these hormones on their own, from pre-teen years all the way through to our 50s, and the roles and responsibilities that those hormones have, then it just makes sense to inquire to see if hormone therapy is going to be beneficial to optimizing your health. Talked about that. I love this graphic for iron. Just talk about this for a second because it relates to the pyramid. This shows that when you're anemic, your ferritin levels are probably down below the 25 mark. So ferritin is a simple blood test that you can ask your doctor for. And if you were to be diagnosed as anemic, you would probably, your ferritin would show up at, 22, 23, 24 or below. But look at all of the things that you might be experiencing that are technically low ferritin, that aren't a diagnosis for anemic. Depression, pallor, headaches, brittle nails, fatigue, hair loss is a biggie. I hear from a lot of women who think that hair loss is like a part of getting older, and it's not. The top two reasons for hair loss are low ferritin and low thyroid. And as I mentioned, we need ferritin to support our thyroid production. So really, really important. And if you're taking notes, that would be one of the things that I would write down. Also, I wanted to put this on here because included in your bonuses is $5 off of FerroPro Iron. FerroPro was created by Bob Mayer. He wrote chapter 16 in Mochita. He formulated this iron because of all of his patients at Pure Pharmacy who he has seen over the years who suffer from iron deficiency, and it comes in 3 strengths. So when you order it from Pure Pharmacy, you get a phone call consultation from the pharmacist who will make sure that you're getting the right dose. They'll advise you how and when to take it and when to expect results, as well as when to get your ferritin tested next. So that's really important though. And this is the URL. So you have a gift card for $13 to use at purepharmacy.com/menopause-chicks. And you also have $5 off of FerroPro Iron. And all of those details are in the emails that you received today. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay, so hormone therapy. Hormone therapy is a complete, like we could do a whole other evening event. In fact, I will. I have an amazing naturopathic doctor who's also NAMS certified. That's North American Menopause Society. I'm going to invite her to come and speak to us this year and give us like the in-depth explanation from a physician's point of view on hormone therapy and answer your questions. But what I would like to say about it is that it is worth exploring. You are worth exploring. Get curious. The North American Menopause Society recommends that women do get curious about hormone therapy options at menopause, because the best time, and these are guidelines, not deadlines, but the best time to start hormone therapy is within 10 years of menopause or before your 60th birthday. And there is no guideline or deadline for how long you can stay on it or should stay on it, because hormone therapy is a very individualized protocol. I use the picture of the Rubik's Cube because so often we as human beings are looking for the magic wand. And hormone therapy is not a magic wand. In fact, it's not even like other prescription drugs. You know, when you get an infection and you go and you get antibiotics, it's like, this is the problem and I want to slap the solution on top of it. That's not how hormone therapy works. It's more like a jigsaw puzzle or a Rubik's Cube. It needs tweaking. It's complex. But what you're actually doing is you're balancing your hormones. You're taking what is still happening in your body, because our hormones do continue to fluctuate, even in post-menopause. And then hormone therapy comes and provides sort of that, those missing links, if you will, and gets you on the path to feeling amazing. It's used for hormone balance. Many physicians, many professionals will talk about hormone therapy as a Band-Aid approach. Take this to get rid of your hot flashes. Take this to get rid of your vaginal dryness. I don't think about it that way. I think of it more like refueling or refilling the tank. We understand how our cars work. And if our cars need something, we're more than happy to fill up the tank because that's an important asset. I refer to it exactly the same way in terms of not only eliminating symptoms or preventing possible symptoms, but also investing in my future heart, bone, brain, and vaginal health. So that's what it's used for. Bioidentical is merely a term. It sometimes gets twisted. When people write about it, but bioidentical just refers to how the molecular structure of the hormone is made. Non-bioidentical is not going to be the same have the same molecular structure as the hormones that you used to make. So an easy way to remember this, and my doctor taught me this, is instead of saying bioidentical, in your head, say body identical. And that will help you remember that bioidentical or body identical hormones have the same molecular structure as the hormones that your body used to make on its own. Non-bioidentical hormones don't have the same molecular structure. Compounding simply means custom made. I have my hormones compounded at Pure Pharmacy. It means that, if a pharmaceutical bioidentical hormone comes in 100 milligram doses and I need 150 milligrams, my doctor has a choice. He or she has to decide, do I give her 100 or do I give her 200? Or have it compounded and give me exactly the dose that I need. Compounding is simply, what a pharmacist can do. They can compound, you can have your iron compounded into a liquid. You could have your dog's medication compounded at a pharmacy. It simply means custom made for you. And so I think there is a lot of confusion that bioidentical and compounding go together. They don't. There are bioidentical hormones that are approved by the FDA and Health Canada and accessible at any pharmacy, and they don't have to be compounded. Route of administration refers to how you take your hormones. So that could be orally, it could be transdermally via a cream or a patch, it could be vaginally, and some do even get their hormone therapy through pellets. So like a pellet that's inserted under the skin. There's pros and cons to each, and it's best that you can discuss that with a hormone balance expert or with your health professional. You want to ask 4 questions. Am I taking the right hormones for my age and stage? Am I taking the right dose for my age and stage? Because that might change. Am I using the right mode of delivery that my body absorbs best? If you're not achieving results with hormone therapy, it might be because maybe the cream, it's not the best mode of delivery, or maybe oral isn't the best mode of delivery. So that's an important conversation. So those are the 3 questions. The 4th one that I would add to that is, when should I book my next review appointment? Because you now know that hormone therapy is not a magic wand. It's not a one and done a protocol. You need to be reviewing it with your physician, re-asking those questions over again, and making sure that you aren't due for a tweak or an adjustment to your protocol. Okay. Oh my gosh, it's 10 after 6. I wanted to talk about vulva and vaginal health. I also have another class that's free for members coming up on March 31st. It's called the Vagina Dialogues, and I do one every month, and we do a deep dive on vulva and vaginal dryness and what you can do about it. We talk about moisturizers. We talk about all of the options that are available to you on the menu, and one of them is not ever giving up. But I did want to just touch base tonight, if I can steal another minute from you, and that is on the vaginal moisturizer that's currently compounded by Pure Pharmacy for members of the Menopause Chicks community. It's made from hyaluronic acid. There's a spelling mistake there, I see. And it's designed to prevent and treat vulva and vaginal dryness. So remember how I talked about estrogen going for a steep decline in postmenopause? Well, the other thing that goes for a steep decline is hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid you might see in television commercials or magazine ads, because a lot of beauty products are now including hyaluronic acid in their ingredient list. Hyaluronic acid for vaginal health was shown in 2013 through research by Dr. Petra Stute to be as effective at preventing and treating vaginal dryness as localized estrogen. Why is this a good thing? Well, one, it's a good thing from the prevention point of view. So why wait until you have vaginal dryness to go to your doctor to get a prescription for estrogen therapy? If you're in prevention mode and you're, in perimenopause or approaching menopause or even in postmenopause, if you're in prevention mode, then hyaluronic acid is a great option for you. The only way your doctor can write a prescription for estrogen therapy is if the condition already exists. So that's really important. There are other reasons too. I mean, women who might be undergoing breast cancer treatment might be looking for a non-hormone option, hyaluronic acid, because it's a molecule that used to be produced by our own bodies. But it starts to decline in our 30s and 40s, and then significantly in postmenopause. The other reason is that this is really important. Your mom or your grandmother or your aunts or the older women in your life might not realize the connection between optimal vaginal health, optimal pelvic health, and UTIs and incontinence. So I want you to tell them. And they might not be on estrogen therapy or have any interest in estrogen therapy, which takes 3 to 4 months to show results anyway. But they could be significantly impacted by not being able to sit comfortably or move comfortably or dance comfortably. And if they are susceptible to UTIs or incontinence, this is something that they really want to do to get their vaginal health back on track. And again, please just go, the link is in the Menopause Chicks community. I'd love to have you for another full hour if you can stand me on March 31st, because we will do a much deeper dive on this topic. So check your email. All of the details on the bonuses that are included in tonight's masterclass are there. Tomorrow, I will be sending out the copy of the replay. And what else do we need to do? Yes, I need to get to your questions. I wanted to first tell you this Friday, March 18th, is World Sleep Day. All day in the Menopause Chicks community, I am hosting experts. We're talking about sleep. We need women to be talking more about sleep. Sleep tends to be one of the aspects of our health that we don't ask for help with, and we need to start asking for help. Over 50% of 77% of our members are experiencing some form of insomnia, and over 50% of our members are dissatisfied with the current approach that they're using to treat their insomnia. So we're going to have some great conversations on Friday, and I already mentioned vagina dialogues. So I'm going to close this down and get to your questions. Thanks so much for staying, you guys. I really appreciate you showing up tonight. And let me see who has some questions here in the chat. Okay, I don't get hot flashes. I get hot hands, and I would really like to know how to manage the symptom. Carla, don't really know if your hot hands are related to hormone imbalance. You might be able to intuitively tell based on what you learned tonight about what age you're at and what stage you're at. I can tell you that hot flashes are different for everyone. And I even had a woman come and speak at one of my events 2 or 3 years ago from the University of Indiana, and she's studying how hot flashes are different for women in different countries. So it could be hormone imbalance. I would get curious with your healthcare professional and maybe also look in your copy of Mokita or on the slides tomorrow about, are there any other experiences that you're having in addition to the hot hands? Okay. Are you using natural products to manage menopause? Wendy, I'm not quite sure how to address that. I don't use the word natural. Am I using, if you're asking me personally, I mean, I do take the nutritional supplements that we talked about tonight, and I do use hormone therapy, and I consider all of those things to fall under the definition of natural. And then in terms of managing menopause, I don't use that phrase either, because menopause is just one day. So it's important that what you take away from tonight's conversation is the distinction between perimenopause, how that is generally speaking high or higher estrogen and low progesterone, even though they both can be fluctuating through perimenopause, and how different that experience is from postmenopause, which is usually identified by a steep decline in estrogen. Looking for a better understanding of hormones and how to stay healthy, tips for navigating various symptoms, heavy periods, that's low progesterone, dry eyes, that could be environmental, it could be allergies, it could be lower estrogen. So estrogen is really responsible for keeping our eyes moist, and the mood roller coaster. So the mood roller coaster could be a magnesium deficiency. Magnesium is very supportive of mood. It could also be related to lower progesterone. So get curious about that. I asked my doctor about my symptoms and if it could be perimenopause. He said that since I'm already on birth control, even if it was perimenopause, there's nothing else to do. Well, Shannon, we'll work together to create some script tips, some questions for talking with your doctor. If your doctor is a hormone balance expert, educated, has taken continuing education in hormone balance, then that's definitely something that he would likely be open to having a continued conversation with you about. If you are looking to add a hormone balance expert to your team, somebody who has studied this, has the education, the experience, and the expertise, I can probably help you steer you towards someone like that as well. That's quite common for women in our community. You know, you absolutely keep your family doctor, but you might be at this time wanting to add someone else to your team who can help you manage this component. I assume when you say already on birth control that you're on the birth control pill. The birth control pill, while it is a form of hormone therapy, it falls under the umbrella. That's what I was trying to draw there. It is a progestin. A progestin is not progesterone. Progesterone is the hormone that our body makes on its own in the second half of our cycle when our cycles are regular. What's in the birth control pill is non-identical progestin, and it's designed to stop pregnancy. So if that is your birth control method of choice, absolutely stay with the pill. But there are still things to do within the hormone balance pyramid, sorry, got my P words mixed up. There's still things that you can do within the hormone balance pyramid to address your symptoms. you went to your doctor to talk about your symptoms and you got turned away because you're on the birth control pill, that is not satisfactory, in my opinion. So let's work together and get you to where you need to be. Okay. The next person is talking about bloating, weight gain, belly fat, and just confused about my body right now. So I know these people are, these members are describing why they're here. Those are common. I hope that Mokita helps you, because all of those things are listed on page 37 to 49. I hope that you got some more information from our conversation tonight, and let me know how I can support you going forward. My doctor said the best approach to perimenopause is not treatment, to manage on your own. Okay, well, just give your doctor my number. I'm not serious. I don't agree with that. I think you deserve better than that. I think you deserve to feel amazing. And telling a woman to put her health concerns on the back burner is not acceptable at Menopause Chicks. So I'm really glad that you showed up tonight. Thank you for taking this on your own. And this is not about poor physicians. Let me just be clear. I don't do or believe in doctor bashing. We have to understand, we expect a lot from our family doctors. They have to learn every single ailment, disease, condition, and treatment option and prescription protocol for many, many things. What they don't study in medical school is women's hormone balance. The topic of menopause is 1 hour. You now at 20 after 6 have more education than your family doctor received in medical school. Do not hold that against them. Menopause is not an ailment, a disease, or a condition. So it falls outside of our traditional medical model. And we have to stop sending women to the hardware store to get milk. I don't know if that lands for you or not, but we continue to send women to their doctors thinking their doctor will have the answer or the solution. And as you know, there is no milk aisle at the hardware store. You can't get that. So I know that lots of doctors really try to do their best. But you might be in need of some additional information, education, or support from another hormone balance expert at this time. Okay, hi, I'm Daniela, 57 years old. I was in perimenopause at an early age and experienced all the symptoms. I am now post-menopause and having some thyroid issues. I want to have a better understanding of my health so I can select the best options for me. Daniela, that is beautiful. Thank you so much for coming tonight. I've known for a few years, this is someone else, I've known for a few years that I was in perimenopause, but the doctor has now confirmed that my estrogen is low. What supplements can help with managing symptoms like irritability, insomnia, very dry skin? Well, estrogen, bioidentical estrogen, which is called estradiol. We have 3 forms of estrogen. And and that's a great way to not only address, dryness and some of your symptoms, but it's also a great way to invest in your heart health and your brain health too. I'm facing a decision as to whether to stop birth control pills after 25 years. I'm 48. It's helped regulate my periods, but I've got a bit of fear of the unknown. But I'm also noticing my periods slowing down and the start of other symptoms like dry eyes. We have a lot of people with dry eyes tonight. And I think hot flashes. Well, I'm glad that you're here, Marlena. I hope that you got some valuable information. Do message me, everyone. You do text me through the Menopause Chicks Facebook community if you have any next step questions or you need clarity on anything that you heard tonight, or you need direction in building your health team. I'm excited to educate myself more and hopefully get more answers to help through these menopause experiences. I'm looking for a better understanding of the roller coaster we go through. I wake up at 4 a.m., can't fall back to sleep, anxiety, digestive system is off, taking supplements, but it's difficult, brain fog, miserable before my period, and it feels like a roller coaster, not sure what will come next, up or down. Okay, that, Isabel, does sound like classic perimenopause. It doesn't say how old you are, but the very first thing that I really would like to mention is, remember how I had the slide up with cortisol? And if you're waking up every day at 4 a.m., that could be a sign of cortisol imbalance. And if you remember the pyramid, stress management was at the top. It's really, really important. If you want some great additional information in that regard, I hope you'll come back on Friday morning or sign up for the Sleep is the Best Medicine World Sleep Day event that we're having on Friday, because I'll send you a copy of all the recordings. Listen to what Dr. Bal Pawa has to say on Friday morning about cortisol and relation to sleep. When we can fix that, it's one step closer to being to putting you in a better frame of mind, better headspace, but it's also one step closer to helping to manage everything from anxiety to digestion, and even PMS. But then you can take it one step further and use that pyramid to decide what is going to be the best solution for you. I also want to eat all the time. Is that perimenopause also? It could be cortisol. It could be cortisol imbalance. Stress can make us do lots of things, and one of them is to crave carbs. But check out Mokita, page 37 to 49, and you'll see how changes to eating will show up in some of the hormone fluctuations there. How do I manage postmenopause in a healthy way? I am on a lot of good supplements and healthy sleep aids, and I don't want to do hormone therapy. Well, that's interesting. I understand the hesitation around hormone therapy, and I don't. I get really curious as to why we are so willing to take care of all the things and all the people in our life. But hopefully, what I was trying to convey tonight is that when our cycles are regular, our body is producing important hormones that do amazing jobs. Like, just stop and think for a minute. If you are responsible for running your heart, right? Or running your brain, or keeping your bones healthy, like just those three things alone like blows my mind and is kind of overwhelming. And then you reach 50, let's say, and all of a sudden you turn to your body and you say, hey body, thanks for that, first half a decade. Now I want you to go and do all those same jobs, look after my heart, look after my brain, but I'm not going to give you any of the ingredients anymore. Your body's going to push back because it needs those ingredients to do those important jobs. And whether your body makes those hormones on your own, or whether you are able to find a hormone therapy protocol that's right for you, it's worth getting curious about. It's not my job to tell you to pursue hormone therapy. It's my job to tell you that you are worth it. You're worth the effort to find out if it's right for you. So I'm just going to leave you with that. Also, is there a good resource to find healthcare providers who can run tests, link arms with me and my unique body and make recommendations? Absolutely. The North American Menopause Society certifies practitioners. So if you go to menopause.org, you can search for a NAMS, or North American Menopause Society certified practitioner in your area. That list includes a lot of MDs, a lot of medical doctors, but it also includes some gynecologists, it includes naturopaths, it includes some nurse practitioners. You can message me and I can maybe point you towards a couple of practitioners who work virtually, like the hormone nurse, Debbie Brown. She contributes a lot to our community. She's amazing. She's a member of my own personal health team, and you can find her at thehormonenurse.com, and she works around the world with women. And testing, we didn't talk about testing, so I'm going to use your note here to underscore a couple things about testing. So testing in general, not just testing for hormones, but testing in general is always a snapshot in time. It's a picture of your body at that moment in time. When it comes to hormones, hormones are always fluctuating, especially in perimenopause. So if you've ever had a physician say to you, we don't test hormones in perimenopause, the reason why is that you could do the test in the morning and it could look completely different that night because of that continual fluctuation. Testing is valuable if, well, some women want to run a baseline so they have something to compare it to. Some women will want to do hormone testing, or some practitioners will want to do hormone testing because it can confirm or deny a hypothesis. So you know how our doctor's appointments are like super short and you have like 10 minutes sometimes. If you're working with maybe your family doctor, naturopaths or functional medicine doctors would be longer, but not everything comes out in conversation. So a practitioner might be sitting there with your intake form and be really curious. I wonder if this woman is describing low progesterone, or I wonder if she's describing low vitamin D, or I wonder if she's describing low iron. So one way to confirm that is to do testing. And that's a really, important tool that your health professional and that you have at your ready to then make some decisions about what the best treatment plan is going to be for you. And then the other reason why testing might be important is that it can sometimes show things that doesn't even come up in conversation. And that might be, the example I used earlier tonight was thyroid. So you might be thinking you're going to your doctor to talk about changes in perimenopause or postmenopause. And if your doctor runs a full thyroid panel, there might be that information and education that you get about your health that then you can take some action on. So testing is really important. It's not the be all and end all. It's not always necessary. A well educated and experienced hormone balance expert who has a woman sitting in front of her at a certain age describing classic symptoms of low progesterone in perimenopause may not need to do any hormone testing. They'll just be able to support you with the protocol that's going to be right for you at this time. And then if you were listening about all the questions that you need to ask, then you would book a review appointment down the road, and that might change in 6 months or a year or when you reach menopause. But that's the approach that I would like you to take towards testing. Are there any supplements or hormones that help us lose weight or not gain weight so easily during perimenopause? Have your thyroid tested. I don't talk a lot about weight. There is a guide in the Menopause Chicks community. Across the top of the page, there's a button called guides, and that link will take you to 30 or so different sections on the most popular conversations. There is a guide there on weight changes that you can expect with hormone fluctuations, but in terms of giving weight advice, I just don't do it. I believe in healthy at every size. But if you're having difficulty losing weight, that's a classic sign of low thyroid. So I would get curious about that. Can we get a prescription from our doctor for the hyaluronic acid? No, it's not a prescription product. It's an over-the-counter product. Hyaluronic acid is, as I mentioned, it's used in a lot of beauty and skincare products, and it's an important ingredient. Well, it is the only ingredient, plus a little bit of vitamin E in preventing and treating vaginal dryness. Do I need to see a naturopath to help with hormone therapy? How do I know if my doctor is treating me correctly? Great question. I believe that one of the misconceptions that I've maybe contributed to in the Menopause Chicks community is this concept that you need to see a naturopath, or that a naturopath is trained in women's hormone balance. Those things are not true. There is no health designation that guarantees your practitioner will be trained in hormone balance. I'll say that again. There is no health practitioner or designation. There is no health designation that guarantees that your health practitioner is trained in hormone balance. You have to ask them. You have to say, tell me about your education, your experience, and your expertise in working with women at my age and stage in navigating hormone imbalances or balances or achieving hormone balance. You have to ask. We can't assume that our doctor knows, but they might. They might not have learned about it in medical school, but some doctors have taken a special interest in women's health and they sign up for all their continuing education classes in this area. That would be great news. Gynecologists, another misconception is that a gynecologist will know what to do and will be trained in hormone balance. Most gynecologists are actually trained in treating severe cases, like serious cases, like gynecological cancer. Many gynecologists are surgeons. That doesn't mean that they're trained in hormone therapy or achieving hormone balance. Even endocrinologists, who are the hormone specialists of all of the specialists in the world, they mostly deal with hormone imbalances at the extreme end of the spectrum, like Hashimoto's or a hypothyroidism or Addison's disease. They generally don't see women who are navigating perimenopause to menopause. Naturopaths, many of them will be trained in hormone balance, but many of them specialize in allergies or men's health or prenatal. So it's really important that you ask the question that, are they educated and trained in women's midlife hormone balance? And there's another part to your question. How do I know if a doctor is treating me correctly? Well, I think you know. And the longer you stick around Menopause Chicks, I hope that I'm giving you script tips and support and ideas for how you can have an informed conversation and build the healthcare team that's going to be right for you. I've just begun using hormone therapy, but I'm concerned that it's not right for my age and where I'm at 41, perimenopause, age 51. How should I proceed? Okay, so lots of women in perimenopause use hormone therapy. It's just that generally speaking, the hormone therapy that they use, so hormone therapy is an umbrella term, and then there's lots of different options underneath that. In perimenopause, if you are using progesterone therapy, that would be quite common, and it might be exactly what you need. And if you haven't yet reached menopause, it would be at menopause where you might then have the conversation with your hormone balance expert to add estrogen or estriadol, bioidentical estrogen, to your protocol. I hope tonight's presentation gave you more information on that too. Isabel asks, what is the exact thyroid test you need to ask for? My thyroid values is normal as per my family doctor, but I am always cold, weight gain, poor concentration. Okay. So often we will hear from healthcare professionals who will tell us, or we interpret what they're saying, is that your test results are normal. So what do you say then? You then say, well, doctor, what I need to know from you then is, what do you think is the root cause of not being able to lose weight, always cold all the time, and having poor concentration? Because we need both parties in this relationship to be really curious and to be invested in finding the root cause. It's not enough to cut off the conversation at, oh, your test results came back as normal. The example that I like to use, I hate the word normal. And the example that I like to use is that, I wear a size 6.5 shoe and you might wear a size 8. Both of those numbers are within the normal range of women's shoe sizes. But I can tell you, if you had to wear my shoes all day, your feet would hurt like hell at the end of the day. And that's what's happening. Your test results have come back within the range of normal, but you're still experiencing symptoms. So either that range of normal is too wide, or there's something else going on, Or in this case, since you're talking specifically about thyroid, you want to ask your doctor for a full thyroid panel. And I have that information and, all of the T1, T2, T3 to ask for. It's in Mokita. So I can point you to that page if you need it, or we can talk about how best to have that conversation with your healthcare provider. I do find that naturopaths will understand best how to order the full thyroid panel over the GP. Okay. I have a question in French and I'll need to sort that out later. Joe, do doctors who help you manage hormones have a certain title or certification? Hopefully you were tuned in for my response to that question just a minute ago. No, there is no specific designation or certification that guarantees a hormone balance expert, although the North American Menopause Society does certify practitioners. So doctors who have gone through that training are on a searchable list at menopause.org. You are welcome. Does your book help guide us newbies as far as what tests or questions we should ask your doctor? 100% it does. Hope you enjoy it, Eileen. Kim, I would like to learn more about the dancing stage in perimenopause. When progesterone, I love that you called it the dancing stage. When progesterone declines and estrogen increases, I am curious when to think about including progesterone. Yeah, that's a really great question. I come at this, everyone is unique and different. Dr. Jerry Lynn Pryor was saying like the best way to produce progesterone is for your body to make it yourself. So if you're in perimenopause, you want to A, pay attention to how you eat, move, and sleep. B, manage that stress, find some mindful activities, take up meditation, manage your stress. That is going to be the best way to produce progesterone. And if that's not working and achieving optimal health, know that progesterone therapy is on the menu for you. And that would be my best answer to that. I hope that helped, Kim. My mom's GP said that hormone therapy is not a healthy thing for us to do for a long term because of concerns of stroke. She tried it off and on, and she immediately began issues with thyroid and heart. So much misinformation out there. Yeah, one of the things that you have to do when you're having a conversation about hormone therapy with your healthcare provider is they need to assess your risk. Like if you are a stroke victim, if you had a stroke last year, your doctor has to consider some things in terms of developing the protocol that's going to be right for you. But taking hormone therapy is not going to cause a stroke, but other things might cause a stroke. Like you might have a health condition that predisposes you as being a risk for having a stroke. And therefore, a layer of hormone therapy on top of that might not be best for you, or maybe it would be best for you. I don't know. I'm not a hormone balance expert, but those are the types of questions that if I was your mom or you and having conversations with a hormone balance expert who's educated, experienced, and willing to work with you to find a customized protocol, then that's how I would approach that conversation. You're welcome, Heather. Oh, you're welcome, Rachel. Oh, that's so good. Okay. Is it true that taking hormone therapy pills damage your liver? Not that I know of. Now you're talking about pills. So let me just back up on that for just a second. So hormone therapy is the protocol. It's like an umbrella. There are different modes of delivery for hormone therapy, and taking oral hormone therapy has to pass through your liver, has to be metabolized by your liver. So ask your doctor about that same question, but know that hormone therapy, the umbrella name for the protocol, doesn't damage your liver. But there might be reasons for you specifically that you might not want to be taking it orally. So therefore, then just discuss other options such as a cream, transdermal patch, vaginal, and find the solution that's right for you. Nicole, thank you for that. I did not express the form of hormone therapy that I'm using. I'm taking estradiol gel and progesterone oral 100 milligrams. I'm 51, still perimenopausal. Thus my concern, do I need to be on estrogen at this point? Ask your physician. There's so many reasons why the answer might be yes, and probably not a lot of risk or reason for the answer to be no. So it is a very individualized approach to managing our health. And I hope that you can get the answer that you need from your prescribing physician, or ask your pharmacist. And this is a big tip. Pharmacists are one of the most educated health professionals that we have in our communities. And you don't even need an appointment to go in and ask them questions. And I work with some amazing pharmacists. And if you have a quick question such as this, it might be worth running it by your pharmacist if, it's not feasible for you to see your doctor this week, or if you're just worrying about it and you want to clarify something, go see your pharmacist. That's what I would do. Thank you for this webinar and all that you do in the Facebook group. I've learned a lot, and personally, it has really helped me navigate midlife. That is amazing. Thank you for being here. I have read your book, Mokita. I understand quite a bit about this subject. Just wondering if my only option is to see a hormone specialist. Oh, no, not at all. Not your only option. But why wouldn't you? Would be a conversation that we can have. Thank you, Shirley. I'm so excited to educate myself. I'm really excited for you, Eileen. You are wonderful. I have been researching and reading for 5 years. I received more information from you in an hour than all the reading and doctors combined. Wow, I'm just going to take that in. I'm so glad that you're here, Wendy. Thank you for signing up. This is amazing. I love what I do. Thank you so much. Keep up the great job. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I think that might be the end. I know that this was extra long tonight, but I really appreciate all of your questions and your comments. And thank you for staying on, everyone. Have a great night. I wish you continued health. I look forward to seeing you on Friday. All day Friday in the Menopause Chicks community is World Sleep Day, March 18th. And please go and sign up for the Vagina Dialogues on March 31st so we can have a more extended conversation about your vaginal health. Okay. Good night, everybody. Thanks again. Oh, Jane, that's such a nice note. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.